Hello everyone and welcome to a new weekly update. This weekend we will be checking on 17 decks that I did have in previous week, and comparing to the other one I did listen to some comments. I would like to experiment a bit, so we will change it up a bit. This weekend we will check every deck. I will showcase you the deck. We will have a part of the video where we will be seeing them, but this time I'm not going to be talking about every deck because some of the decks are overlapping, and yet again I think it is cool if we can make this thing in future as well being shorter, so that I don't need to every time talk about the same cards, same archetypes, but rather they say about the new things that I maybe did discover, or the cards that did impress me in that weekend. So first thing first, let's check the decks. I will show you the decks, and then later on I will be talking a bit about the few ones. First deck that I'm gonna be talking a bit about is the draft deck 29. As you maybe did see, this one did trophy, and why did I choose this one to talk about is because comparing to other decks or the other ones we did have in the weekend, this one is for first time ever having the unbeatable Squirgle, and we did have the really strong card coming of the Galactus. One more thing that this deck is maybe unique about is because it is actually playing 4 rapid rescues and it is playing 15 lands. And in first glance it maybe seems odd, why am I playing 4 of this, and why do I play 15? Isn't this deck not supposed to hit the lands? Well, Rapid Rescue is a card that actually can help you dig towards the lands, and one or more reasonings why I did like the Rapid Rescues is because both of the rares or bombs I do have are actually permanent. So logic behind this card was that I actually did want to play it so it can actually help me towards getting to my rares. Other than that, one small interaction or combo that actually did not happen, but I was actually looking forward to trying it, was the Hydra Infiltration with the Weekend. So the reasoning why I did play both of this was because Weekend, if you play it and there is the Hydra Infiltration, a Rapid Rescue all of a sudden becomes a blink effect for this, and then maybe you can make sure opponent doesn't have cards, and then your rares are actually gonna be able on ending the game. Overall, the deck was awesome. Squirrel Girl was more carrying than the coming of the Galactus, but yet again this card was great, especially with the cold damage control. We did play it with the logic of possibly returning it. So comparing to the previous weeks where I did showcase some easy decks that I actually did have the success, this one does have a check on when it comes to 4 drops, the ones I do want to have in Izzet. But if you do notice that this deck did not have many 2 drops, which actually is a important thing, and because of that the 4-drops were not shining as much as they could, and the Hulk Smash is way worse if you don't have the 2-drops, right? So yet again, it showcased how much it is important to get the Shuri or get the hydraulic helpers, the ones that can give mana for artifacts, so you can actually try to snowball with the 4-drops that you do have. This one was trying to play the 10 rings, and I would say that it wasn't really successful. Idea was that because I have a Tony Stark and I can actually play it for free, and other than that I do have the Iron Heart, so maybe I can actually try to improvise it. I think in most of the matches after game 1 I was sideboarding this out for something playable, but yeah, this deck did not play as good, and I think the reasonings for that was because I did not have the 2-drops, and shows how much actually it is needed in the artifact shell. One of the decks that did impress me in this weekend was the draft deck 34. Even though this one did not trophy, 2 cards that leave a mark, let's say, on how they played. I really did like how the Speed Young Avenger played with a super speed as like a 1-mana combat trick early in the game, but later on it actually gives any creature haste, so you could actually just make sure you have like another unblockable creature. And that's really good because like the Boros, or this version of Boros, was really good on like early game putting a pressure, and then yet again, like I said, early game interaction, but plus later on it becomes another unblockable creature, so you could just like try to push as much damage as you possibly can. So 2 of the decks in this weekend I don't plan on talking much about, but I did want to mention them because of the way they did feel. The draft deck 36 did feel really great, and it is one of the decks that I will actually upload the runs on the YouTube. So I'm not gonna be talking much about it, but I am gonna tell you that the 10 rings was really strong, and that to our enemies in this version where we were playing triple assault robot and double automaton as a way of actually pinging for damage. If you have a Hawkeye, it becomes even stronger, or with the automaton growing the counters. Plus yet again, that to our enemies being a ramp towards the 10 rings felt really strong with this deck. So this deck was awesome. Like I said, I will upload it. But I did want to mention it in today's weekly update because I think it does deserve honorable mention. And yet again, the Death to Our Enemies did play well. Yet again, a card that I feel like there is more room to experiment with and figure out the optimal version. Comparing to the previous week one where we were playing non-creatures but rather spells, this one is playing more creatures, but the creatures that actually do like the Death to Our Enemies. So even though I didn't have many signpost cards for maybe the black-white, I really did like how this deck did play. Rares were great. I don't need to really mention why Winter Soldier or Clock and Dagger is like really strong in the black-white, especially with the Avenger the Assemble. But yet again, if you didn't catch the train for like Marvel superheroes or which card is maybe giving the hugest impression, it definitely is the Shield Spike Kit, and then playing with any 1-drops, because you start with a 1-drop and then on turn 2 you play this, and all of a sudden you have a threat because, like, for example, the Crowd of True Believers is actually attacking for 3, and then it is like giving you the Scry, and Scry is just making sure that you're gonna keep up the pressure and do what you want. This deck was really strong. It was, I guess, the first black-white deck that I did trophy with. Yet again, even though I did have the black-white cards with this deck, I think this deck, even if it was mono-white, because like the power level of this card is really strong if you do have the curve, would have played out well as well. But yeah, super impressed with the black-white, and I think the card that I would like if I did have in this one was the 2-drop that does give you the Connive. I think that one is really great in black-white, but yet again, it didn't feel needed. Shield Spike Kits did end up on carrying, and then you just get to Avengers Assemble and make sure you have a lot of heroes on board. So the 2 decks that did miserably fail in this weekend was the draft deck 38 and the next one I will show. This one, yet again, it started with a Construct a Cosmic Cube, and I think this was maybe the last time I'm gonna try with this, at least in the black-blue. The deck didn't end up playing well. We were struggling on putting the pressure on the board. Yet again, the plan of even having a tutors for the card and then like starting to like grow the creatures didn't even play that amazing, because like sacrificing the 2 first turn is actually a big deal. I would say the other plan was way better than the Construct a Cosmic Cube. And then yet again, the question is like, do you really need to take a card like this? Because like I did mention it, if you are building a deck around the card and you don't draw a card, like how is the rest of your deck functioning, right? right? The same effect of this card does have the 5-drop uncommon, and that one doesn't ask you to build anything around it, right? It is just a generical good black card. So I think this card is yet again for me to discover, but with this one, where I was actually trying it again in the black-blue variant, it didn't feel really good, and I will maybe just leave the Constructor Cosmic Cube for maybe a Rakdos, where you could play some other cards and a different variant of this deck. And yet again, one more reasoning to say why this card is bad, other than just like an obvious like skipping first few turns, is because there is a lot of cards, for example, as a bounce, I don't know, destroy an enchantment, or just Oblivion Ring, right, with the Banishing Light, and the white decks are currently dominant with the maybe white-blue. So it just like leaves this as a weak way of building a deck. So yet again, it is a cool card when it works, but I think it is super hard to make it work. The other deck that didn't go well is the next one. That day I did have back-to-back 0-2s, and after that I didn't even feel like playing Magic. It wasn't just my day. I don't think this deck was bad as like previous one. I think this deck did have a solid plan, but yet again we faced like some decks that were just like super tough to beat, like I don't know, the Modak being played against us and killing all the 1 toughness stuff. And yet again, the training regimen and the conspiracy proves why like 4-mana enchantments are bad in the current meta with the Mudros Crusade running around. So I think this was like a cool thing to do week 1, but when the people did catch up and when the removals are good and the Crusade being really good, well, killing your creature can actually pick up on both of these enchantments, and you're building around them, makes both of this feeling worse. So yet again, I think the deck could have done better, but again, with the current meta of the Mudroks being great, I think that this is not that solid plan anymore. And a second deck that I do plan on uploading as well in this weekend that we did have was this Red Hulk combo deck. This deck felt really amazing because we actually did have 4 copies of Hulk, if you think about it. We had 2 Evil to Stay Dead and the 4-drop that can actually become the Hulk. Plus we did have triple barrage. I think all of the games I did win on the combo, and the cards that did impress me with this one, as you might see in the video that I will upload, was the Ninja and the Hydra. Both of this card making sure opponent doesn't have cards in hand and like discarding before you do the combo felt really necessary. But yeah, this was definitely the deck that I maybe did enjoy the most in the previous week when I did have the chance on drafting it. So to talk a bit about the format, yet again I think it is mostly dominated, or the field is mostly dominated with the white-based decks, either that being like the white-blue or the white-black. I think I did face those ones the most. I think people did catch up with the Spy Kids, how they are great, and Mudroks Crusade, well, why it is like a strong removal. As I did mention, like it makes some of the feels like build around cards worse, so if they ever 2-for-1 you, it is really awful. Yet again, I think like for the next week or the upcoming week, I would like to draft more this card and figure it out. I don't know, so far every time I think I did put it in the deck, I did trophy with it. So it feels like a card that maybe does have the potential, but yet again, like I don't have many drafts. I did have 3 of the drafts where I did put it in the deck, and all 3 I ended up on trophying. The decks I think I like the most to draft currently, or the one that I'm maybe getting biased towards, is the maybe Izzet. I do really like how the Izzet does play, and I do really like the Hydraulic Helper as a card, especially with the 4-drops that can be the reasonings, and just how it is great on like the early game and then yet again in the late game phase as a deck. If you haven't drafted it, I think you just need to like try it and see for yourself if it does fit your playstyle. I don't know. I just like the cards that I did mention, and I think they actually do end up on playing well. So as I did mention, this weekend it is gonna be like a shorter one. I think in the future that this is like the length that I would like to try to aim for as a video. So showing you the decks, talking a bit about the cards, and then like mentioning the decks that I was impressed, or maybe something that I did catch. I hope yet again you did like the video. If you did, please leave a like, it helps out a lot. Commenting helps out. Let me know if you do like the way it was paced this time, if it was more entertaining. And if you're interested on any of the decks, the offer still stays. You can like type in the comments the deck that you do like, or the deck you're wondering about, and then I will try to actually do the video editing and uploading it on the YouTube. Until next week, I hope you did like this one, as I said. And the plans for the upcoming week on the videos at least are gonna be the qualifier weekend. I did do the qualifier weekend. I will upload the run. And then yet again the draft decks that I did mention, I will try to upload them. Take care, and until next time, cheers.